Welcome, welcome, welcome to a lovely English summer day. It's so grey and overcast. It's so lovely. I love
Isn't
how
it?
the sun shines here.
It's a solid 15 degrees at the moment. So get the sun cream on. And yeah, hello to everyone joining us from around the world, wherever you are, whatever time it is. And of course, to everyone in getting started in crypto.
I
So
definitely think Australians are spoilt for sunshine, and coming here and seeing the constant grey is just wow. Yeah, lost for words.
it's a sight to behold. I wouldn't change it for anything personally. So yeah, no, lovely. Talking about crypto though, let's have a look at what's happening in the market, shall we?
We shall. So potentially this formation came right down and did touch. You can see that we've got a touch to that support. So this has been a support and resistance for quite some time. We can see that we've come along and we've had support here, we've had a resistance in this region, and then a breakthrough. We've now come back down and retested. Whether we get another retest or a couple of retests here is yet to be seen, but we are struggling a little bit for volume where we are at the moment. So kind of looks like an accumulation period. This part of the market is predominantly that it can last for 160 to 240 days in accumulation. So that's a long period, I know, and it's where our patience is tested. But it is looking like there's light at the end of the tunnel, and oh shit, bees.
Yeah.
And
Is everything okay there? Let's zoom
oh,
back in
getting
on there.
attacked
What's going on?
by English bees. It's
Oh
like, what
well,
the
maybe you should have been a bit nicer about the weather in England, and that might not. Anyway, back to Bitcoin.
yeah, so where are they coming? They're gonna attack me. It's like, yeah, so can last for 240 days, and that's just part of accumulation. And it's still looking good. It's still looking like we're likely to head up as of sort of, heading up a little bit in September when we do get those rate cuts, and then the larger bull run coming towards the end of the year.
Nice. Okay. There's a little doggy around there. It sounds like too. Um, okay, cool. Where else did we want to go? Did you want to look at Ethereum as well?
So let me just go to Bitcoin. And I just want to show you that how we're trading at the moment. And
Hmm.
it's the range is tightening. So basically, we've got two pivots here, and they're like literally tightening up. So let me get some glasses on. So 56, sort of 600-ish, and about 62, 200-ish. They're our like pivots. We're literally trading in that range. We've been doing that since the 8th of August. So that's now 11 days in this range. So it looks like we might get a decision soon. The MACD is tightening up as well, and we're getting sort of the RSI is sitting on that median line. So that's a sign that we're going to get a decision very, very soon. Whether that goes up or down is yet to be seen. We have two patterns, and that's what pivots are. They give us the idea of where patterns are sitting. Have we finished this fourth wave? Potentially, yes, with that this like wick down to that region, and we've got a continuation up. But we've got a lot of confluence in this region that we need to break through before we do get there. So this is a period that you do want to be like accumulating for the longer term, and for the next part of the market. So there's also traditional markets. Obviously, we had a meltdown with the Nikkei a couple of weeks ago, and Japanese markets. Now, there's rumors in those markets that a couple of big trading firms are using, customer funds, which is illegal, to bolster their trades. So this is what we saw with FTX. This is what we saw with Celsius. This is what we saw with a lot of these companies in crypto. So that happening in traditional markets can have ripple effects. So whether we're going down for that last, sort of bounce down, and where, that's where we're going to see that explosive bounce, and that's called capitulation. So whether we get that capitulation drop and we then continue up, and that's the bottom of this part of the market, so our wave one, is yet to be seen. So it's just something to be aware of. Hold to your longer term sort of patterns and plans. So I do think we are getting the bull run heading in from sort of September, a bounce in that region, a pullback, and then the larger run coming from December. But yeah, we do need to be aware that there's a few sort of factors happening with traditional markets at the moment that we do need to watch, whether they're just rumors or they're facts. Normally where there's smoke, there's fire. So just be aware of that sort of area as well.
Okay. So looking across the markets, across the world's economies, to see where we could be going next. Where would you like to go next in the wrap up?
So Ethereum basically has done absolutely nothing. We do like to look at the USDT dominance. So that's our inverse sort of indicator as to what Bitcoin's doing. And like Bitcoin, it is trading between two pivots and has been in that range since about the same time, since August 8. That's 11 days. And, just they're basically inverse against each other. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market as to where we're going. Ideally, we'd like to see the USDT dominance come back down and retest the 5.17 mark. That would mean BTC would get that final wave up that we've been waiting for. And then we'd have that sort of inverse happening again, where potentially, once the USDT has finished climbing, then, that means Bitcoin's finished declining and we can start our run. So it is looking likely that we're coming to the end of these patterns, both for USDT and for BTC. So I'm hoping for one more wave for BTC, one more wave down for USDT, and then we can start the new cycle. So that's essentially what we're looking at. So not much to see on Ethereum. There's a lot of shorts open on Ethereum on, ETFs and that sort of thing. So that usually does mean that inversely we're going to go up. So a short squeeze is on the way. Keep an eye on those, because when we get really high, obviously, longs, it does mean that we'll have a market decline, because a lot of the time, once we get these, slow sort of grind down, a lot of people will relong their longs, and that will mean that they're sort of underwater, and then it gets to a point where they don't have the funds anymore to be putting into those. Inversely, the same for shorts. If you're shorting and it keeps pushing back up, then obviously at some point you're going to get liquidated, and that's easy to do when we get these wicks. So just be aware of that. Stick to your plan, stick to your stop losses, and don't add to those leverage trades.
Okay, cool. Right, now let's have another look. I think you've got a couple of alts lined up. So did you want to go there next? We'll take a quick ad break and we come back to alts. Okay.
Yep.
Okay then. Let's go for it. Alts. What do we
Cool.
got?
Now, quickly, just before we jump into alts, our sponsor here of the weekly wrap up is BingX, and they do have a summer rally happening at the moment where you can register and you can win. It keeps changing the screen, but either a BMW or a Tesla or a Porsche just by trading. So if you think you're like an amazing super trader, jump onto BingX if your region provides that. I know it's not available to everyone, but yeah, so that's a super prize, Porsche, a Tesla, or a BMW. So get onto that.
Which one would you take?
Ooh, not the Tesla. Sorry, Elon.
Really?
Probably the Porsche. Probably the Porsche.
I think I might have to agree on that one.
Yeah, not a blue one either. I'd probably go a black or a red Porsche.
The red. Okay. Cool. Well, good luck if you're trading it, and you can. Yeah, that's on BingX, who are the sponsors this week for the weekly wrap up. Okay, we've got a list of alts. I think you've got the charts set up and ready to rock and roll. So let's do it.
First up, we have Gala. So there's a potential this could have 5 waves and it's coming back down and may hold the low. So there's this little tiny wave here that could be a wave 1, coming down for a 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a greater correction. But that's, yeah, it depends. So, if it holds the low, it's almost there. And it's going to take off. If not, it's got one more wave down and it's going to retest this support one more time. And it's kind of mid levels at the moment. Still has bearish divergence on a lot of the time frames. So I would think that potentially we've got one more dip, and that's what we're seeing with a lot of patterns. So it's mid sort of wave. If it does get a bounce, it's going to come up and retest. Let me just get some glasses so I can see what that price is. About 0.0206 at that point, and that would be the pivot as well. So the major upper pivot here, if this is a wave 4 and then coming back down for a 5, is at about 4, so 0.4 for Gala. So it's just whether it can break this next pivot. If it breaks that first pivot, then potentially, yeah, it's going up for 4. But I do think it's still in a corrective pattern. It's got one more wave. ARB is one that I'm liking at the moment, and I do think it's heading to about 74. Obviously we've got a bit of accumulation in that region. This is only a 15-minute chart, so let's bring that up to the daily and see where we are. So fairly new pattern for ARB, but it does look like there's waves here are complete and we're coming back up to retest those regions. So on ARB, our pivot, our major pivot is at 1.7. So there's a potential of a quite a good run for ARB in this region. So from this area heading up is about 230%. So that's a huge potential. But because it's such a new pattern, we don't have a lot of pattern memory. And, if you're a long-term watcher of this weekly wrap-up, you'll know that I talk a lot about pattern memory. And, we really need to have more information before we go, okay, it's definitely going this way. But we can see that we've got enough waves down that we're getting a potential bounce here, breaking above that sort of 74, 75, then yes, we're going higher. So one step at a time. SUI, however you want to say it, SUI. Now this one came back down to the 0.9, so a really nice correction. Now it's a really new pattern as well, so this has only been around since May last year, so the daily looks like brand new pattern. We get a little bit more information when we go to the lower time frames, say a 4 hour, and we can see that we're gaining support here on the 100 and 200 MAs on the 4 hour. So ideally we want to hold that region, and our pivot up here is 1.2. Breaking that is quite bullish for this pattern, and we can see that that would take us quite higher. So if we're looking at this as, potential that we're seeing, a breakout in this region. Hang on. If my chart wants to work. So, potentially we're going to about 1.7, which is that upper region here that we need to break out of. So that's our next stop if we can break this next level. And what that may look like is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and then coming up for a 5. And that would be bullish for SWE. So, but ideally, we want to be holding these 100 and 200 MAs in this region. So very sideways on the MACD, as we're seeing with everything at the moment. And the next one is SEI. Again, so this is a 4 hour. It is underneath the 100 and the 200 MA, and just sort of playing with those. When we go back down to the 1 hour, we're seeing that we're trying to get above that. It's got above, it's gone below. So this is what an accumulation pattern looks like. It might have one more pullback. There are 5 waves here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is our corrective wave. So once that's complete, then likely it will head up. So what that looks like is 618, sort of the golden zone is around 24. But when we go from the basic pattern memory that we have on, say, we're looking at the 786. So I would be a buyer for this around 23 to 22. And then that's a longer term trade. So that's potentially what we're looking at. I do think it's got one more pullback in this region.
Okay, excellent. That's good. Looks like everyone's happy. All the requests fulfilled as far as I can see. Fantastic. So did you want to just give us a very quick wrap up before we wrap up?
A quick wrap up before we wrap up.
What am I wrapping? The market and what's happening, just for those who have joined in late and not caught the start. Where would you be right now? What would your ideas be in the market?
I would be slowly accumulating for the bull run, and with that just sort of taking either having a weekly sort of DCA at this point, or just waiting for one, because we don't know exactly if we're going to get one more wave down. It's never, ever, ever guaranteed. And we do have strong accumulation patterns at the moment, which does mean potentially this could be like that last of the sideways pattern. So in the last run, we saw, in previous runs, we saw a strong accumulation between 8 and 10,000, and literally that lasted for months and months and months. So, this is potentially that part of the market. We saw it again at 30,000, where we sat in that region for, 160 to 180 days. So, and it's normally sort of between, very, very tight ranges. So we saw 28 to 30,000. And then sort of once it got to 30,000, it held that region and went 30 to 32. And that was our accumulation region. So we're seeing that in Bitcoin at the moment, where we're just holding in really tight ranges for periods of time. So, for me, BTC, if we do see what's happening in the traditional markets actually come to some sort of reality, then, holding BTC and holding sort of a lot of people are saying physical metals like golds and silvers and stuff like that are going to be where it's at, and that's normally what happens when sort of we have market meltdowns. I don't think that's going to be a longer term impact for crypto, but as we are going into a bull run, whether we get the massive bull run, we are yet to sort of understand what's happening, whether this is a multi-year correction or whether it is, a multi-year correction for a fourth wave, or going into a fifth wave, or the start of the next super cycle. So several different patterns happening at the moment that are still in play. I personally think we're in the super cycle waves, and we're going to have a really good run, because I do think crypto is going to become, a bit of a safe haven for, making a little bit of money when the market is imploding on the other side.
Sounds optimistic. That's good. Cryptophrenic as well on YouTube has got the check on for weekly DCA. Also has asked a question: the next super cycle, has Bitcoin already had one of those?
No. So super cycle basically means in Elliott wave that each cycle of the Elliott wave becomes one cycle. Let me find my super cycle chart, and then I can explain that a little bit better. Where's my BLX? Here we go. So if we go, so each part of the, Bitcoin's been around for 3 cycles so far, and we're coming into the fourth cycle. So that could potentially be, it should be a second wave. So being as, we've got 5 waves and then we've had a full correction. So 5 waves equals the wave 1 high. So this essentially was our wave 1 high, coming back down for our wave 2. Now we're entering the third wave of the super cycle, and potentially this is our wave 1 coming up. So that's our top of this region. So ideally we'd like to see that by the end of this year, so by December, getting a new high for Christmas, coming back down. Now in when we head into a third wave, normally it's a bit faster. So if this is a second wave correction, then that's not going to take forever like we're seeing, and we'll head up then for our third wave. So my projected target for the next wave up is 146. Now that can go higher, so depending on where we go on those levels, like right up to about 230,000. So and that will depend on how much money is printed, how much money is coming sort of out of traditional markets and moving across to crypto, because they're seeing the percentage that are being made. We've got ETFs to factor in at the moment as well, which means, how much money those, companies like BlackRock and all of that are pouring in, because at the moment, Mara, who's owned by a lot of those big firms that have the ETFs, are holding their Bitcoin. They're not selling it. So, we need to be watching what those companies are doing and understanding what those movements are, because they're, sort of, that's where the longer term money is going to be made, by understanding what, the bigger players, the whales, are doing, and what they're doing, holding, selling, buying, that sort of stuff. And we can see.
Oh dear. Well, that did not go to plan. Let's see if we can find Lisa again. One sec. Here we go. Let's add you back. There we go. What's going on there, Lacey?
The umbrella fell on my head.
A little accident, did we? Oh no, that is a special for you being framed.
Yeah. So anyway, so what we were saying is we need to be playing. I got an umbrella on my head. We need to be following what the big players are doing, and looking at what they're doing is accumulation at the moment. So
and we
need to
take
be
that
doing that as
seriously.
well.
Crypto
Yeah,
Phoenix,
try and
that's a
take that
great
seriously with
summary,
an
much
umbrella on my head.
appreciated. The sky is falling, sell everything. Oh dear, oh dear.
You can see it's live. It's definitely live.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. If
Yeah,
anyone
so
thought
we've
it's
had bees,
pre-recorded,
we've had umbrellas on my head, and yeah.
There we go. We made it though. We got through it. That's the main thing.
We
So,
have.
and thanks anyway for that, and thank you to everyone for joining us. You are free to watch this back at the end of it if you are getting started in crypto and laugh at those moments again, or actually listen to the information that Lisa is
So hopefully
sharing.
the information got through in the moments where the umbrellas were falling. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining us as usual. Have a great week ahead, and if the sky isn't falling down, we will see you again next week. See you then.
Thank you.